Yeah. What are your thoughts on Starlink? Because I know you're going to be a customer soon.
I don't know until I get it. No, I think it's really good. I mean, like like you guys were asking me like why I wanted to get it kind of thing because I have I just have ExploreNet right now. It's just kind of like just like a standard one around here. Bell was useless out here. They're gonna charge me like what was it? It was gonna be like $120 a month. And then if I went over 60 gigabytes, it was like another dollar per gigabyte over that or something like that. So these guys are unlimited high speed. Like, I'm streaming with you guys. My wife's watching Netflix in the next room. I'm in the middle of the country. Like I'm just on satellite and they're $40 a month. So I'm gonna get Starlink as well. Though. And the reason I wanted to do that was just because
Mm.
just for like trading and stuff like that is I want to set up like a home like virtual private network, like a home VPN. And then what you can do is you can wire, two or three internet sources. So I could have like my LTE from my cell phone, I can have ExploreNet, and then I can have Starlink all linked into this one VPN that connects to my computer. And that way, if any one of those systems gets knocked out for whatever reason, it'll just keep seamlessly streaming data. It'll just pull on the other systems immediately. So that's kind of the reason that I want to get it. It's just kind of like for another backup. Otherwise, like, yeah, I'd probably, to be honest, just stick with ExploreNet because it's like better than I thought it was going to be, I guess. But yeah, it's just it's kind of a redundancy thing, right? Because like obviously, like I live in the country, I don't have any hardwired internet, right? So if you get like a big storm or something rolls in, or like a snowstorm or something like that, it could kick it off. So having some redundancies is what a lot of the guys like. I did a lot of research, and there's tons of guys that are traders and stuff. They live out in the country, and they're like, yeah, I just have three or four different internet sources that all just run into my computer, and that way, I can unplug one, and my computer just keeps running seamlessly. So.
Brendan, I wanted to ask because I think a lot of people are thinking this. I know I am. Like, so they're talking about spinning off Starlink and then doing an IPO with it. I guess, what are some of the things you would want to look at if you're looking to invest in that thing?
I really couldn't even tell you. I don't understand the business fundamentally. I haven't done enough digging there. I think it would be a long time because I know that SpaceX did a private round of funding. What
Mm.
was it? About a year ago? I believe it was what, a $40 billion market cap?
I
Am
think
I
they're up to
correct?
70 now. They might be up to
70
70,
now?
but
Okay, yeah.
but
So
don't,
maybe they
yeah.
did another one. Um, but there's just a lot that I would have to look at, and I'd have to really understand the industry. And until then, yeah, there's really not much that I can say on that.
Oh
Yeah,
no, that's great. Sorry, Ken.
no, I was just gonna say, like for me, I just kind of like the idea of it because, like, I know even, like it's 2021 here. Like, even my parents, like they live just outside the city. Like, you can literally walk to the city from my parents' house, but they have a big property. Like, they're in the country, so they don't have hardwired internet or anything like that. And they literally just as of I think only like a year ago, maybe a little bit more, were able to get high speed Bell satellite. So still not hardwire and and they're literally right outside the city. So like to me it just kind of if Starlink is going to be one of those things where they're able to take over, like when you think like, oh, we're going to just do rural areas, it's not like rural like there's a couple people up in the mountains. Like there's whole cities of hundreds of thousands of people that are rural. So it's a pretty big market that they can capture. And I just think that like with the prices that he's offering, unlimited high speed internet versus like Bell or Rogers or any of the other big names that are out here, it's not even in the same wavelength as far as being close to competitive. So like I think as soon as that comes around and as soon as they have the capacity to set up like get their whole business model sorted out nicely, get enough customers up and running, I think that they're I just don't see them not wiping out Rogers and Bell as far as rural internet goes.
So
Interesting.
going back to your question, David, like I can't really talk about it industry specific or company specific, but like things that I would look at is I would
Mhm.
definitely want to look at like the addressable market and to see how big that market is. I would want to see revenue and I would want to see revenue growth. I'm not
Mhm.
sure if I would want to see profitability because
Yeah.
one, I don't think it's necessary at that point of the business. But like two, like would Tesla or SpaceX or whoever owns it, would they still own a stake? Like, are they kind of like piggybacking on them? Because then profitability, I think, would be less important. Um, and I would just want to look at the competitive landscape, like how many other people are doing this. And I'd want to look at like management and I would want to look at ownership, like who actually owns the shares. there's a lot of things that I look at, and it literally would be like reading through a 165-page prospectus and just doing all the digging there. And I would want to hear the corporate presentation, and I'd want to, just do more research on that, and I'd want to really understand it. But I think revenue and addressable market would be the two things that would be the most important to me personally.
No, I like that. I like that you said you want to know this company, because I think that's a part that a lot of people miss. Like you really want to deeply know this company, right? I think one of the Buffett's examples is like, you're buying a share as a shareholder. You're technically an owner of this company, right? So if I came to you, Caitlin, and I'm like, I have a restaurant idea. It's like, let me like $40,000. You would really grill me, right?
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. That was one of the things that you taught me, David, at the very start. Like, because when I was first getting into investing, like before we started this show, I was asking you, like, what do you look at in a company? Are you looking at their financial statements and this and that? And you're like, well, yeah, a little bit, but not really. You're like, I want to know the CEO. I want to know how the business runs. I want to know what their factories look like. Like, I want to know the actual physical business, right? And like, I think that's a really, really key thing that both of you guys are kind of touching on, is really understanding the business itself, like who's running it, who's in charge, how is it operating, how are the employees, like just all that really, like, down to earth kind of stuff that actually makes the company run is kind of what, I've gathered anyways. You can correct me if I'm wrong, is what both of you kind of look at as sort of probably one of your main indicators when investing in a company.
Yeah, I wanted to mention some stuff to Brendan and see how if he would view these things.
Yeah.
So like a few things I learned about SpaceX or Starlink in particular is like they have some technological advantages, right? So I did look up some competitors. There was a bunch of former Google employees that raised a few $1 billion to try to launch a competitor long before Starlink, and they failed miserably because they had one missing factor, which was the rockets, which is what SpaceX has, right? So when they launch their rockets, they're paying, I think, $5 million per rocket. That's the cost of building the rocket and to piggyback on the ship to go into orbit. And they're doing 5 at a time. SpaceX is doing 80 at a time with their own rockets, which are reusable, and so it costs them less than $1 million total. So I would just, for you, would that be like a sufficient competitive advantage that would make you want to look more into this company? Like there's something there.
Potentially, but let me ask you, who owns Starlink? Is it 100% wholly owned by SpaceX?
No, they have a lot of early investors. I think Google is actually quite a large shareholder. I
Okay,
think they
yeah. So I definitely want to look at the ownership structure. I think that would be probably the most important thing, because if there's
yeah.
a lot of big names and big people behind this, then that would be interesting. I don't see the reason right now in them going IPO.
Yeah.
Probably not even for a while, unless you have more insight on that. Um,
Yeah, Elon's just mentioned one thing. He's like he gets asked that a lot, and he said he doesn't want an IPO until they're profitable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which to me doesn't make sense, because most IPOs that you see, in SPACs
Yeah,
coming on the market are nowhere near profitable. And that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me too, because they have so much financial backing. Like, why would they want to um, basically jeopardize their revenue and their revenue growth and growing as a company just for the sake of being profitable? For me, that doesn't make any sense. I would rather a company focus on growth than focus on turning a profit.
I think what he was meaning to do was he wanted to spin off Starlink as its own separate entity. So he wanted that to be profitable, and it's a separate business. And SpaceX will still focus on going to Mars. So I think he wants to separate
I
the
feel
two
like that's
businesses
doing
slightly.
it backwards, honestly. I feel like I'd rather just grow space or Starlink in the best
Yeah,
way that I could. But that's Elon, and he has his own plans, and I'm sure he has a lot of very smart and very large pocketed investors whispering in his ear too. So I'm sure he's on the right track there.
yeah. I'm gonna keep digging into this thing because I'm like really really into this stuff. But
I really want you to, because we've discussed about doing like an entire episode. If we could do like a 30 to
yeah,
45 minute sort of episode and sort of feature that, and we can make it real cool. Maybe we'll show like some videos or
yeah,
something on your screen, whatever is available. I think that'd be awesome.
yeah. What are you thinking? I think So maybe the idea is this: I'll gather my research and I'll gather my thesis, and then I'll basically present my thought process for like an investment in the show, and you guys can add your commentary and criticisms and whatnot. I think that'll be
Yeah.
pretty useful.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say on that stuff.
Yeah, and I think
I-
there's a lot of other people out there that want to hear about new, unique businesses, especially when it pertains to like space and connectivity and all that. We're seeing like Richard Branson go to space and Jeff Bezos and everything else. Like, it's like this new frontier. Like people are very excited. Like you're talking about mining asteroids, and we're talking about going to new planets and colonizing Mars, and everyone's getting so excited about like UFO sightings and like potentially like intelligent life out there. Like definitely a lot of exciting things in space, and there's probably going to be some investments there. Like I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bubble in the future, something really similar to cannabis and similar to crypto, where people are like getting into space companies, and we have these like space companies just going IPO like every day. And like if you have the word space in your company name, like your company goes up 1,000%. Like I could see a future where that happens. I know it's really like bold to say, but could happen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a note. Episode 27. We're gonna flip back and we're gonna be like, you nailed it.
Yeah. What was David? What was that one back in the Bitcoin days that they changed their name to? It was like a tea company.
Long
And they
Island
changed-
Iced Tea.
Yeah, they changed it a lot, like blockchain.
Long Island blockchain. And
Yeah,
and
that was my favorite one.
that was as close to the top as you possibly could. The other one is Eastman Kodak, which like
Yes.
okay, yeah.
like one of the biggest companies in the world. Like it was on the Dow.
Yeah.
Like photography was a big business. I guess, David, you know more about that, but I guess before everything went digital, and they changed their name to what? I don't even know what.
Yeah, similar kind of thing. But they just threw blockchain in the name.
Kodak coin. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite, man. I love those. Those are the best. Long Island Iced Tea, Long Island blockchain.
Well, it's funny because these things, they're like kind of the canary in the coal mine. Like when these things happen, you know that
It's a
you're
bump.
gonna hit peak enthusiasm. Like I remember telling people when Coinbase went IPO, I said, this is peak crypto right
Yeah.
now. Not to say there's not going to be another crypto bull market, but for the time being, like this intermediate cycle, like top for sure. And that's exactly what happened. So, you got to really not let the enthusiasm of the crowds, the madness of the crowds, as they say, really affect your thinking. And we're good that we all keep each other in line here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to end today's episode.
I think so too.
We got a lot of good information here.
For sure. We'll be back in 5 years with all of our small cap space names.
Exactly. To the moon, literally.
Yeah, to the moon. To the moon.
All right, guys.
All right, let's end it there.
Later.